Okay, beloveds. So here's another thought creation experience that I want to share with you guys. Now, as I've mentioned before in the first account of these experiences, I used to travel back and forth from north to south, from New York to Florida all year round. And so I remember this one year I went to Florida, and my aunt had many houses. And at the time I happened to be staying in one of her houses that was in Margate, Florida. Now, I remember one day, not long after I just moved into this house, I'd opened the sliding glass doors, which led to the patio and lawn area at the back of the house. I then went outside and stood on the grass near to the patio. Now, mind you, this wasn't my first time going around the back of the house. But while I was standing there on the lawn, a thought then came to my mind. A crystal clear thought then started to form in my mind. And this thought, beloveds, was inspired by fear. This imagination was also powerful. And looking back at what had happened, I sometimes think to myself, like, why in the world would I be thinking about that? Why didn't I think about something that brought me joy, or something that made me happy? But that's how we are as humans sometimes. We tend to choose fear more often than not, for some reason. So now, there I was, standing on the lawn at the back of this house, and looking straight ahead of me, and then came this clear thought. I started to imagine. I started to picture. I started to image yet again. And this is what I was picturing, beloveds. This is what I started to think. I thought, just what if I were to look to my right, and there on the lawn would be a giant snake with his head lifted up, staring right at me. And just so you know, I wasn't only thinking this thought. There in my mind, in my imagination, I was picturing a dark colored snake with his head lifted up and the rest of its body coiled up along the length of the lawn. Now, just to be clear, so that you guys understand where I'm coming from, this was just what I was thinking about and imagining as I stood there on the lawn looking straight ahead of me. And I remember it was as if one thought had led to another. Now, remember, I just came to Florida. And so while I was there standing, I was thinking to myself, hold up, I'm in Florida now. I'm no longer up north where there's like no snakes or any lizards or anything like that. And then came that thought that what if I looked to my right, and on the lawn I would just see this huge snake looking at me. And so, beloveds, what if I were to tell you that I looked to my right, and lo and behold, right there on the lawn, in the exact same way as I imagined it, was a giant black snake. And the snake had its head reared up, and the rest of its body was coiled out along the lawn, exactly how I'd imagined it. And it wasn't moving at all. It was staring me dead in the eyes. And to be honest, beloveds, I was so frightened that I was petrified. I was in shock. Because yet again, my thoughts had literally manifested and became reality instantaneously. And so I was frozen for a good while, until I slowly backed up away from it and went back through the sliding doors and went inside. But when it had occurred, the anomaly that had happened to me with the girl beforehand had came to mind. Because this was now the second time that something like that had happened to me. Now, like I've mentioned before, at the time I didn't know what in the world was going on. And so I'd only tell my cousin that there's a snake in the backyard. But I didn't try to explain to him that before I saw it, I was literally picturing and imagining the snake that appeared to literally manifest straight out of my mind. I had to leave that part out because I didn't know what to make of it, and I didn't want to be misjudged by anyone. But that experience and the other one was many years ago. And since then, I've grown a great deal spiritually, and I now know exactly what had occurred with both experiences. Now, as many of you guys already know, our thoughts are pure energy from which matter is formed. And our thoughts are also creative. Like energy attracts like energy, which means that fear or fearful thoughts will attract or create fearful experiences. Yes, beloveds, this is the truth. And the same thing goes for love. Continuous thoughts of love will create or attract lovely experiences. So knowing this, what you'll want to do is to learn how to control what you're thinking about. Because, beloveds, our thoughts are creating our experiences. Yet, it's not only just our thoughts. Our thoughts is just one level. We create on multiple different levels, such as thoughts, words, actions, and even our feelings are creative, beloveds. And to the degree to which our thoughts, words, actions, and feelings are strong or powerful, it will be to that degree to which we experience them. And that there, beloveds, is a lesson that they should have taught us in schools. They should have taught us how to think and how to control our thoughts instead of what to think. But I understand that they knew it not, because this wisdom comes from above and was given by Yah,